Behind me is my 2018 Thor A.C.E 30.2 motorhome. It's creeping up on 100,000 miles, and it definitely needs a lot of work. What you can see here is the super slide. So this is a 20+ foot slide out room, and it's on these Schwintek gears. So it's a Schwintek style Lippert slide, and this is my third video, second attempting to fix this. So let's go up there, show you what we got going on. So there's a lot of stuff going on up here. First, this is what my previous video was about, trying to braze and fix this aluminum in these gears. And this one especially has a big chunk out of it. These are worn, but they're not gone. So aside from this one, I think there's enough gearing on them that the motor should still work. The problem is, and I'll show you a video of the inside, that it's just not aligned right. So the alignment on this upper gear is bent even further away from the wall, and that's a problem. So let's talk about the anatomy here real quick. This is a 3-gear slide, so obviously there's a lower gear and then 2 upper gears. Most of these only have 2 gears, 1 gear here and 1 on the bottom. Since this slide is so big, they put 2 here. And then this bracket here is called the H channel. And this H channel has the carriers, so little blocks that have the gears in them. There's a bar, it's shaped like a hexagon, that runs the entire length of this H channel. And the motor sits on the top, and that motor is what runs this in and out by powering those gears. Well, as you might be able to already see, the screws are all different. The gap, it's got a weird gap here. It's not supposed to have a gap there. The last time I noticed that it wasn't close enough, so I moved it away from the original line. So if you look down, you can see the caulk line, the original caulk line versus where it's sitting. So I'm going to fix that today, and I'm not going to fix it by replacing these. So a set of these, the previous video where I tried to repair them and I bought a set, on the only ones available on Amazon, do not work. They are different. So this gear, I believe this is on the top, so it's inverted style. The way this block sits in like this, it sits a different way on the other one. So there's a float side and a fixed side. I cannot tell on e-trailer for another $750 if the ones that say float side, because this is the float side, would match. The pictures aren't close enough, so I cannot tell. So if this doesn't fix it, I may call e-trailer and try to switch these out with those nice new ones. But I don't think that'll still fix my problem, because I've got a gap here to make up. So I've got to make up this difference. And the difference that I have to make up is obviously this gap that I've already tried moving the H channel out, and it still didn't work. So it's hard to see here, but this is at about 2 5/8. So when you measure from the face of this gear to the edge of the H channel, the measurement is 2.5 plus or minus 1/8 of an inch. So we have, technically we're there, right? But when it's in, it's even farther away. So when the slide room is retracted, it's even farther away than it is now. But this is the best distance we have. The problem is I want to be at the distance, but here against the caulk line where it was previously. So I want to move this back to the caulk line and actually get it solidly against the wall. And I'm going to do that by shimming it. So apparently I saw one video a couple years ago, and I haven't been able to find it since, but in the forums they talk about putting an 1/8 inch, I guess the most popular is an 1/8 inch shim. So I have 1/4 inch and I have 1/8 inch. And I think I'm going to use a 1/4 inch shim on the top and an 1/8 inch shim on the bottom, because the problem I get here is down at the bottom, it stays consistently, 1/8 inch, 2 5/8 from where the old caulk line is. It stays there. So the bottom has less of a gap than the top. And now you could see it in the internal video that the top is clearly sticking out further. And when they say this is a float side, it means those carriers can float and hopefully stay against this edge. And that's what it's not doing. It's not floating far enough out to engage the gears fully, and the gears are just grinding on these gear racks. So I've got some ABS plastic, and these are 2.5 inches. So these are 2.5 inches wide. So I'm going to cut some ABS plastic, and then we're going to take these off. And I've already pulled these closest ones to the wall off. So I'm going to pull those off, pull these out, just loosen it. I'm not going to pull it away. And I'm just going to pull it out far enough to put the shims behind it, and then just screw it back together. And then we will test it out. And I'm not even going to show you what it does when it's in, because this slide, in the last video, one of my last videos, I replaced both motors. They were kind of worn, and now the motors are working well. When it's in, the motor's so strong now, it just goes pop, 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 and it doesn't come out. So it doesn't send the slide out. So I'm not even going to show you that, because it's just making noises and grinding the gears, and I don't want to do that anymore. So I'm just going to take it apart, shim it, and then at the end, we'll see how it goes in and out. All right, I got it off. I took it off first just to make sure I was cutting the right pieces. And I changed my mind. I decided to go with 1/4 inch and not 1/8 inch for the bottom. So the whole thing, so these are my 1/4 inch pieces. So 2 sheets of 12 by 16 were $30. So this is a $30 fix plus the screws, so another $20. So about $50 fix. So the H channel is up against where the previous caulk line is. So the first thing I'm going to do is slide these back there and then start screwing down the H channel. And I'll start down here because if you see all these holes, I would say 1/4 of them have broken off screws in them, because it's something pretty tough back there. So I got a really good spider drill bit from Lowe's. So if I got to drill, then I'll drill. So obviously these sheets come 12 by 16, so 16 inches is not enough. You need 23.5 inches to get all the way out to the trim here for the slide. So I did have to cut 2 pieces. Not a big deal, but the lower piece is 2 3/4 inches. And then the upper piece, I just cut one wide one at 5.5. So I don't have to cut 2 at 2.5. I think I want the wider piece, the longer piece in. There we go. Oh man. I gotta trim this just a touch. There's a bracket here. Quick trim with the cordless jigsaw. Just took a little bit out of it there. Should be all we need. This thing, when you're cutting this, it does like to try and glue itself back together. So that is definitely something to watch out for. But all right, that one's in. This back one falls off. It's fine. I really just want this gap here to be what I need to do. So I can put the one in at the top. These are the screws I plan to use for the H channel. I have 14 by 1.25 inches. For the gear racks, I have 12 by 1.5 inches. And then for the interior screws, I just have number 10 by 3/4 inches. And to give you an idea, These came out of the rack, so this is what I'd replaced the gear racks with previously. So to make up for that additional 1/8 or 1/4 inch, I've gone with 1.5 inches. And then I've also done measurements to make sure I don't come through this wall, because the wall thickness is what I was concerned about. So I measured for that. So I think any more than 1.5 inches, and we may start protruding through the side of the wall there. And then 1.25 inches, I think, is going to be fine for this H channel. We've got like 1.5 inches thick wall here, so I think 1.25 inches is just right to get into the aluminum of this thing. Well, this thing has never sat nicer against the wall. So it's nice and flush. It's right at that old caulk seam. So I'm happy. I'm really happy with that. These screws are a little big, but I think there's enough room in the seal to close it off. And I was worried that the seal would not be touching, but that seal is still, the wiper seal is still wiping. So I'm going to start with this one, then I'll move up to that one. Well, I had to go inside the RV and actually push the extend button because for some reason these weren't lining up very well. Well, the tension had pulled them back in, so now they're about where they need to be, and I can put this in here. I think it's good. Obviously, nothing's level here. It's close, but I can't, tell if I lined those upper gear tracks up with what looks like the caulk line before, and some of the screw holes are going right into the old screw hole, so that tells me it's lined up. And was it lined up before? I have no idea, but it's shimmed. And before I finish putting the screws in and putting the caulk, some silicone in, I will run the slide room all the way in. I did put a couple extra screws here, so I'll do the same up there before I pull it in. Much happier with this. It's almost flush with the H channel. I could actually get this motor out. This was jammed up here and I couldn't get this motor out before, so that's good. Obviously I got to fix this, and I got a new trim piece for that. And down below it looks good, so their gap is not bad at all. Let's set up so you get the best view down the slide, and then we'll go from there. Right before I do that, I'm going to install these braces, because I think it needs these braces. All right, now that I've got these braces in with plenty of screws and then a few, let's set it up now and see how well she comes in and out. All right, now let's try that again. Get the best view in the house. Let's see how she performs. I gotta try to sink this thing. All right, synced. Now let's go in. We're in. The first test was successful. Well, I'll be dipped. That was not. That's why I came out here. Why is the top not in? That's a problem. Those gears are not in up there. Yeah, so these gear racks are slightly one tooth farther out. And when I was trying to put the screws in, I noticed they were in, so I went inside, hit extend, pushed them out a little bit, and then they lined up. The problem is it misaligned this one. And the bigger problem is the only way to have fixed that is to move the slide room itself, because it wasn't working. So this one needs to come out like a tooth. I don't know. I'm going to have to pull it out, see what I can do without taking the whole, I don't know if I need to take the whole rack out or not. All right, well, this is almost becoming a tomorrow problem because, well, now you see we're in and there's still a gap here, right? See how this, where my finger is, and it gets smaller here, is not over. So even with my shim, that came pretty far out. So it's amazing that it, could be worse. So that's the thing. Oh, let's see what we can do here, because it's, I mean, they're gonna have to take this whole H channel out, adjust it, and put it back, or move the entire slide. Like loosen these two up and move the slide, get the slide to come in. I don't know if I can do that. All right, let's try this again. I went outside and I took all the screws out of that lower rack. And with the screws out of the lower rack, I jacked it up. And by jacking it up, it pulled the bottom out. And I came in and I hit the button to extend, and it actually pushed that rack out. Now it seems to be lined up. So cross our fingers. Let's pull it in, go outside and see if it's retracted. All right, great success. We're still a tiny bit, but it matches down here better. See, down here you have a finger at the bottom and nothing at the top. Down there you got a finger at the top and nothing at the bottom. It seems, I don't know what the distance of one of those teeth is, but I think that might be a little more than a tooth. I don't know. That's a weird one. I mean, I could try to do what I just did again, but I don't know what that would do for me. So all right, let's push it on out. When I'll go out, we'll see inside how flush it is. And we'll also see if that thing pops. Not popping. That's awesome. Yeah, last time you'd hear groaning and popping, catching, binding. It's not binding now. Let's go all the way out. All right, now, is this still not? Yeah, see, this is flush. That's not. We're still not quite where we need to be. So I'm guessing I've got to try that again. Go one more tooth. Oh, but this was almost all the way in and it went nicely. So shimming so far, but it's off. Let me try that again. And these aren't independent, right? These are not independent. The gear shaft runs all the way down this H channel. Turns them both at the same time. So it is not independent. Well, it's been about an hour, maybe more like an hour and a half, because the first 30 minutes I just sat here contemplating my life decisions before I just took the entire H channel out, whole thing, took it out, ran the gears out, and then ran them back in, lined them up, ran them back in, and it's all lined up now. So yeah, there's one last test. So now that it's all the way, the top is all the way in, when I go out, will it pop on those gears? Let's look at the spacing. Well, I kind of did put this thing up. We've still got a big gap here, but it's 1/8 of an inch less than what it was. So let's Let's listen. I don't know, I have a place to put the camera. I'd let you sit here, but you're not going to be able to see it now with the wiper seal. Can we extend the slide all the way? That's the best as it's ever been. Not one pop, not one gear grind. Knock on, this is real wood. Knock on wood. You know, I want to do the Borat impression here and say, great success, but that would jinx myself. This wasn't supposed to be a 5-hour project, but it was one of my projects, so of course it was 5 hours, and I had to do it all over. It's not worth doing twice. It's not worth doing. So I had to do it. Well, adjust it a couple of times and then take the whole thing back out. But it's as good as it's ever been. The motors are still a little slow, but I think that is these really weak lead acid batteries. It's been on all day with the, I've only got 200 watts of solar on top, so it's not really giving me a lot. I have a 300 amp hour battery that I just ordered in the garage, charging to full capacity tomorrow. This is going to get a 300 amp LiFePO battery upgrade. That'll be my next video. And then we'll test this air conditioner. After that, once it warms up, temperatures drop. It's not supposed to be above like low 70s for a bit here. So it's not going to be warm enough to try to run this thing all day on 300 amp hours of battery power. So that video is coming up. Stay tuned. But yeah, I got to finish putting the screws in. So I got a handful of screws left on those top 2 gear tracks. And then I've got some silicone to help it make it watertight, as watertight as possible. And I think that's it, guys. So there was a lot more in this video than just what you need to do, right? You just need to put shims. And in my case, I put 1/8 inch shims. Or I'm sorry, I went to 1/4 inch shims. So a 3-pack of 1/8 inch shims is $20. A 2-pack of 1/4 inch shims is $30. So I still have the 1/8 inch shims or the 1/8 inch because I thought I was going to use them. I only used the 1/4 inch. Now I need to buy more because that was what's going to fix the hovercraft. Those videos again, I'll start doing those again when I'm done with this thing and we're done doing all of our running around. Apparently in the forums, if you can find the forums, AI looked up in the forums and said it's not unheard of for someone to put 1/2 inch shims in there. So looking at the way the top is, I probably could get 1/2 inch shims in that thing. And then as I took the H channel out and I was trying to get it back in and getting that 1/8 inch or that 1/4 inch shim on the bottom, I did find that there were on the Luan or the fiberglass along the straight edge where that H channel goes, the whole cutout, there was 2 little 1/8 inch bumps in the fiberglass that aren't flush with the rest of the wall. So I was having a problem with the bottom, and I just cut those off from the inside with an oscillating tool so that bottom, because that was holding the bottom of the H channel out. So all kinds of little problems with this. Why it's not level. Is the opening even level? Is the wall bowed in the slide? Probably all those things, because we've been, this RV, it's a 2018. It's not that old, but it's old enough. And this huge slide is known for these things. So those are all the things to look for. But yeah, you saw it come in. And when it went out, it would not go out a few days ago. I had to push on it while my wife hit the button, or someone had to push on it because it was just going pop, 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 grinding on those gears. It's not doing that now. So an 1/8 inch has pushed it solidly into the gears into the carrier for the gear itself inside of the H channel. So now it is working well. So this is a fix. Definitely, yes, I know I need to get new gears. If I have 750 laying around, and I can contact Lippert, or I can contact, I think it's Lippert, not E-Trailer, but Lippert, if I can get a hold of Lippert and say, hey, maybe, no, it was E-Trailer, and say, hey, do these ones you list, are they the ones that I need? Because I don't want to order the wrong ones again and them not be the ones that I need, because it won't be too hard. And I'm going to have to go in there and inject some epoxy into those holes, because I took the bottom one out 5 times. So if I'm taking these in and out, I'm just not, the screw holes are elongating and they're not holding like they should. But that's it, guys. If you need to shim your Lippert Schwintek gear racks. It works. I can attest to it. Once you figure out all the stuff and you get the alignment just right, it'll work. So that's what I did. And for now it's working. Even with those broken gears all the way in, it worked. And it didn't grind and I didn't need help. So I'll finish this up, clean up, get ready for my next project. So thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll catch you on the next one.